I'm thrilled to welcome you to a new series by Thomson Reuters called TechConnect. This series is meant to share various perspectives on cutting-edge areas of technology, featuring different guests each episode. We'll dive into thought-provoking discussions, offering a deeper understanding into the brave new world of technology and showcase where Thomson Reuters as a company plays a role. We hope you'll stay tuned with us as we try to ignite your imagination, challenge your perceptions, and expand on the extraordinary possibilities that await us all. Welcome to Thomson Reuters TechConnect.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our first episode of Thomson Reuters TechConnect. We're excited to bring you diverse and dynamic perspectives from all corners of the technology world with thought-provoking questions and conversation. Today, Kriti Sharma and I will be chatting about the rise of generative AI and how it relates to the future of professionals. Welcome, Kriti.
Hey, David. It's so exciting to be here with you and talk all things generative AI. And it's really fun to be talking about AI at this moment in time when the opportunity to create positive impact on how the future of work changes is huge. It's not just the work that changes, it's also the way we do it. And you and I see it in our own daily lives every day.
Yeah, I know. We're right in the middle of it all. And let's just get right into it. You know, it's certainly been a hot topic, generative AI. And it almost feels like that every conversation is about AI right now. It's obviously going to have a big impact in our industry. And it's starting to transform the way that we work even today. How would you describe this massive shift? What do you think the impact is going to be on our community, our organizations, our customers over time?
Yeah, that's a great question. So whilst in many ways it feels like AI is just here and it's big, it also feels in some ways like the early days of the internet or the early days of the dial-up era, if you will, because things are a little bit slower, taking a little bit of time. But what's really exciting is the democratization of the people who are now involved in creation of AI. And previously, you had to have backgrounds like yours and mine. You had to go to engineering school and then another geek school and then another geek school, and they go through that whole motion of learning to build technology products. But now we are at a point where there's so much more opportunity for people to use your opening comment from diverse and dynamic perspectives to come in and help shape it. You know, we have so many lawyers who are experts in their field creating legal tech products. We have people who are tax experts who are building tax products. And there's so much more voice for the users and consumers to build and shape this technology. And that gets me very excited. And I think this is also going to lead to much more adoption because the people who are going to be consuming it are the ones creating it. So, David, I also think we are living in a time where professional services and the future of professions is changing. It's shaping our industries in profound ways. We've always talked about people spending more time in professional work on advisory or areas where humans bring more value. And many other concepts have been floated around productivity, efficiency. What are some of the areas you think have the most significant impact?
Well, it's a good question because Thomson Reuters just launched our Future of Professionals report. And I'm not just going to rattle off all the stats from that, but it's a good place to start. And I go to the themes that came out of that report to start with. And we looked at professionals. We asked them across the board, right? Legal, tax, advisory, corporate, risk and regulatory compliance, asked them where they thought that the different professions were going. And we saw pretty consistent themes. One obvious, not necessarily obvious, but one area was that AI was very transformative. And they saw that AI was going to transform professions in three different ways. One, just around productivity, that there would be a lot less drudgery in professional work, that professionals, particularly experienced, skilled professionals, become more productive because they could now start to offload some of those painful, repetitive tasks to the AI. So that's number one. Number two was a shift in the business. So the business models of professions, they have a potential to change. Those that charge by the hour will have to revisit or consider how they will evolve with AI. If you are twice as productive with AI, are you going to increase your rates 2x because you can do twice as much work in an hour? Or will you abandon the billable hour altogether and just say, you know what, the work is worth this much, I'll do it as efficiently as I can, and I'll earn what is fair for that work. So big questions on the business model. And then the other big thing is just going to be around how you use these products responsibly in training. So I think there's a huge change which is going to happen on training and how junior associates and junior professionals, how they learn and become proficient within their professions. And this is just the start. Those are the themes, and so much more underneath there. Maybe to pass it over to you again, and Kriti, we heard also about hopes and fears in that report. And 25% of professionals, their number one fear was around accuracy. And they don't want to compromise on accuracy because of how important knowledge is to their work. And what do you see as being actions that we can take, that others can take, to build trust in AI and to help to address this accuracy fear?
Yeah, the challenge with accuracy or trust in AI has been one of the impediments for many years, and now with the more broader adoption and leading of companies like ours, for example, who have great grounded information and data and trust, we are at the point where we can overcome some of these challenges. Because David, one of my personal fears with AI, the biggest risk is we may not use it for real impactful societal benefits that it can bring. And this is what many of us fight tirelessly for. So when it comes to areas like law, financial systems, major purchases, or health, these are fields where the tolerance for inaccuracy is quite low. And in order to train AI to be accurate, it needs data that it can rely on. And so the need for fundamental trust built in the underlying systems is very important. But data and transparency alone is not enough. For professionals in particular, if you're a lawyer, an accountant, you're a tax advisor, journalist, proving that trust is equally important. And so some good product practices like connecting the recommendations from an AI system right to the source of where it found it from, creating more white boxing instead of black boxing approaches for AI. And most importantly, and frankly, one of the most urgent needs of the hour is clearer regulation and guidelines. At the moment, there's a lot of self-adoption of technology-related best practices by companies, but we have quite divergent views on regulation emerging globally, and we need to get to a point where there's clearer guidelines and guardrails that people can adopt, and so users and consumers can trust. Anyway, that's just my perspective. But I'd love to follow up on your thoughts, David. So for all the impressive and efficient capabilities of AI, there certainly is the perspective that it can be misused in various ways. So from an ethical standpoint, do you agree, do you concur, or do you disagree with the broader responsibility to create guardrails around AI? And if so, who would do it?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I just wanted to build on the point that you were making before, though, on accuracy. I think it's such an important point that trust is really fundamental to all of these AI systems. And, a company like Thomson Reuters, we have so much information which is at our fingertips. And what I'm really excited about is that these AI systems, they'll really shine when given the access as well as the rooting of the models and the technology in that knowledge, as well as expertise of professionals that will ultimately be necessary to build effective systems. But yeah, on the question of ethics and application, wow, who's going to be responsible to define those rules? I think it's going to be everybody, frankly, everyone that's involved, all the stakeholders. When we asked professionals as part of this most recent survey and this report, who should provide support, we got pretty even answers across professionals, the government, as well as clients and the general public. And I think there's a role for all three. I think that though it starts with the users, it starts with practitioners to be able to set self-governance and rules. So I think there is a big task ahead of a lot of professionals to say, what are going to be the rules of the road? What are going to be the ethical guidelines given what we know? What is going to set good practice to start with? And through that practice, I think good policy will evolve. I think it's so early that it would be difficult to create effective good policy without actually having the technology used in practice with, again, responsible, thoughtful guidelines. And then, of course, I think there's going to be a broader responsibility for the entire kind of world, frankly, to become familiar, smart, and understand the implications of AI. It's almost like a new wave of literacy that we need to have. We had basic technology literacy, there was media literacy. I think there's going to be AI literacy that needs to happen for pretty much anybody that is doing professional work and anybody that's going to be in the working world in the near future. So it's kind of everybody, I think.
Yeah, and to your point about literacy on AI, we saw from our report that just under 90% of professionals expect basic mandatory AI training for all professionals in the next 5 years.
I want to pivot to another question or another topic, which is obviously top of mind for folks, which is the specter of job displacement. I know there's a lot of worry out there that jobs are going to be taken away by AI, and it did show up in our report. So what do you think? What do you think, Kriti, about the boogeyman of AI? Is it going to come to take all of our jobs? What does it mean for talent and human capital?
It's a thorny issue, and historically, whilst AI has taken or automated more mundane tasks, now with more cognitive versions of AI, it's able to do more advanced tasks. But I deliberately use the term task versus job because that's by design. We're seeing AI able to do a number of tasks that humans would do typically in a broad spectrum of jobs, but I'm not seeing the need or the advancements enough in trusted AI to completely automate and take over vast amounts of jobs. So we'll see more and more tasks automated, and this would give us enough opportunity to redesign jobs and what work looks like. So, for example, from our Future of Professionals report, we saw very clear signals of people who are working in the world of law or accounting, finance, very interested in doing more work and advising their clients and doing more higher level, higher quality work. What many of these advancements mean is it gives them time to be able to do that. So I'll give you a very specific example. As you know, we're working on a new experience to create legal drafts, first version of a document draft. Now we're able to assemble information, create a first draft within seconds or minutes, and work that would previously take hours or days. When you talk to a young lawyer going through law school, do they really enjoy that legal research writing class or that drafting class? They do parts of it, but they don't really enjoy collating information and creating all the work. They really enjoy the analysis. They enjoy the advisory. They enjoy the negotiations aspect of it. So I think we're about to see the potential to create more fulfilling work, and hopefully, as a result of that, better mental health and well-being for people who work in these professions where we previously haven't been always able to create that sort of environment where people can do their best work and thrive. I would call out, though, we have a real responsibility as we deploy these technologies to really think through the impact on people more broadly and the inequality that can come across from task automation of certain kinds versus the others. So the need for using AI as a great leveler and being thoughtful, to use your word, around the impact being more consistent across the board is very, very important. Anyway, that was a very passionate, long response to a topic where I do think there's more fear-mongering than necessary, because I think there's so much more human potential to be brought.
I love that point that it's about tasks, that there's so much to a job, and even if 10, 20, 30% of the tasks are taken on by AI, it doesn't mean that the job goes away, but it means the job changes, right?
So David, do you think we should still teach everyone to code or teach everyone to use AI? And by everyone, I mean the 3-year-old and the 4-year-olds who can code better than me.
The answer is yes, because there's analogies across all of the different AI applications where you need to know how to do some of the fundamental tasks to be able to gauge whether the AI is doing a good job, right? It's like becoming a manager, right? You want to make sure that you still understand and that you're proficient in the work that's being done. So you can't lose that skill, and you certainly need to learn it to start. But otherwise, how would you know? How would you manage the AI? How would you guide and judge the output? And so you might not have to do years and years and years of coding before you start to delegate, but you still need to know the fundamentals. And I think the same thing is true for professions, for tax, for legal, for accounting, for risk, for anything that requires that kind of specialized knowledge.
So David, I'm very curious if you think professionals need to reconsider how they approach work, and how crucial in a time like this is getting up to speed with the latest technology, and what have you changed personally with AI?
Yeah, again, I think the answer to that question is yes, that professionals need to think about how they approach work, how they adapt, how they use the tools. I think right now it is very crucial. It's crucial to get familiar, to be able to understand. I don't think every professional out there needs to learn about how the science and the math work, behind large language models, to be clear. But I think there needs to be practical experience with the AI tools to understand what it's good at, what they're not good at, what the limits are, and what you can trust it to do. Because there's going to be a ton of experimentation over the next, let's say, year or two around where we can apply the technology. And then from that, I think there's going to be much more transformation, right? The experiments are going to tell us where we can scale, where we can invest, where we can create better and better solutions. And that's ultimately going to change the industry, because it'll take a little while. I think this is definitely a case where we're going to overestimate what will happen in 2 years, but we'll underestimate what will happen in 5 or 10. I bet, for 5 or 10 years in the future, when we look back, we'll be saying, wow, I cannot believe we did it that way. But in a year or two, we're probably just going to be exiting the experiments. And so we'll wonder, why hasn't anything changed yet? And so it's incredibly crucial right now. And, I think Thomson Reuters, we've been in the middle of these types of transformations a few times, and before we close out, I wanted to ask, another question of you, Kriti. I know that TR has been one of the early adopters of AI technology. All the way back in the 1990s, we started with AI in search. And I wanted to get your take on how you feel the next generation, the next iterations of Gen AI, how they're going to help our customers, how they're going to help professionals in the future. What do you think?
So I've been, as you know, working in the world of AI for at least a decade, if not more, in many different industries, and we've been through all these cycles. What I'm excited about this time is we are at a point where AI is moving beyond being a productivity or an efficiency driving service, which it is, but also to an essential service. It's how we will work, and it's how we are working. The transformation is not 10% better or 20% better. It's not like going from online banking to mobile banking. It's going from banking in a branch to just thinking about stuff, and it starts to happen, or really creating accessibility for broad groups of people. So I feel excited about that pivot to being an actual everyday service like we have with digital tools and internet and so on. I also feel the next generation of creators of AI will also be the users of AI. So that new generation of builders is going to come from people who use it and adopt it. We're already seeing it with capabilities like prompt engineering, right, where trained expert lawyers are prompting and training the machines to get the best out of them. So I think we're very close to that mass adoption moment. Might be the WhatsApp of professional work now, which will happen just on your fingertips, a lot faster, much easier, but all underlying trust in every single interaction that we build.
And so I know we're almost out of time. So Kriti, thanks for taking the time to chat with me. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Any other surprising takeaways or insights that you want to share with our audience?
I think there's a lot of information out there about AI right now. But there are a few things that really, really matter and that stood out in this report too. And the first thing is who creates AI and the rules around it really matter. And it's people who have a stake in it, who use it, who build it, and people we elect, corporations, governments, civic society. They all have a say in it. How it's built really matters. And this is about ethical principles, it's transparency, more push towards white boxing. And the last one is who creates it really matters. And I'm really excited by the people who are going to come in and be partners in creating this technology for the next wave, these professionals, but also the problems they will solve. And to your point, I really hope that we use this tool to create more AI for social justice, for access to financial services, inclusion. There's so much value to be gained, and I can't wait to see it.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning into our first episode of TechConnect. We started with, I think, a really meaty and a really important topic, and I hope that you enjoy the conversation as much as we did. We'll see you next time, and again, thank you for joining.